The TARDIS falls through a CVE into E-space and arrives on the planet Alzarius. There, the inhabitants of a crashed starliner and a group of young rebels called the Outlaws are terrorized by a race of Marsmen who emerge from the marshes at a time known as Mistfall. Will the fourth Doctor be able to help the Starliner's inhabitants repair their ship and leave the planet? Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? Sci-Fi Fantasy fans and all sort of fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Ooh. This channel has multiple names. Most of the time, I use the name Random Entertainment Channel. Random because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. And there is no politics and religion because these are not entertainment. We want to have laughter, fun, and jokes. So no politics, no religion. Random Entertainment Channel because we broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. This is also the case in the Doctor Who universe or Booniverse because the Doctor travels through time and space with his TARDIS and are in different times. So, and I want to meet as much people as possible in different countries, in different time zones. So we do different times on this channel to meet other people, to reach out for people. Yes. So you need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Yes, it's all mysterious ways. In mysterious ways. Enigmatic, eh? Enigmatic. Yeah. Random shuffle. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. In events you want to join me in live stream or panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel free to contact me via YouTube. You can put a comment on one of the videos, or you can meet me on the Discord server of Random Entertainment Channel. So, and if you want to contact me, we will look what is possible. And you are also free to invite me for your channel for a live stream or panel on your channel because I will also want to contribute on your channel. I want to make friends and network so you can invite me. So summary, you are invited for my channel and feel free to invite me for your channel. Yes. For the record, the Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who. So cheers, mate. And have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. Yes. Oh, I'm like running a marathon. So, today, a fourth Doctor story called Full Circle. Yeah, you can see in Avatar, the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. We do some general info, uh, short general info. So, Full Circle was the third serial of season 18 of Doctor Who. It was the first story of the E-Space trilogy and the first appearance of Edric, the companion, who also travels later with the fifth Doctor, Peter Davison. But that's for later, or for the past, or in the future. So, we will dive into the plot. So, spoiler alert for the ones who haven't watched this story yet. Take some water and begin. This story has 4 parts, each of 25 minutes on screen. So, part 1, in summary. As returns to Earthling safely to present-day Earth, the Third Doctor has K9 implement the coordinates to Fort Gallifrey into the TARDIS console, having been summoned there at the behest of the Time Lord High Council. Romana disappears back to her room and confesses to the Doctor that she doesn't want to be returned to the Time Lords to live out her life on Gallifrey. While the TARDIS is in flight, it passes through a bizarre space-time event into a green void. While the Doctor attempts to figure out what happened, the TARDIS lands and the scanner shows an image of Gallifrey, where they step outside to find themselves somewhere completely different. So, nearby is a small but sustainable civilization of humanoids who live between a river and a grounded but not repairable spaceship called the Starliner. They came to the planet Azarius from Terradon. Much the focus of society is on repairing their craft. It's an oblargy ruled by three self-selecting senior colonists known as deciders. They ensure the smooth running and order of their adapted world, lay particular store on technical ability. One of the brightest of the younger generation of colonists is Eldrick, who bears a badge of mathematical excellence in recognition of his computational skills. Edric's brother, Fars, has rejected the regimented society of the Starliner. He leads a band of rebels called Outers, who steal harvested river fruit and other foods to survive. The Outlaws attempt to steal some of these river fruits, but fail and retreat to their cave. Not all is well in the colony. Strange eggs have started to appear in the river fruit. This is interpreted by the first decider, Drake, and scientist Dexter arrive to examine the inside of the river fruits. In the TARDIS, the Doctor tries to determine their location, but the scanner and coordinates are both stating that the planet is Gallifrey. Back into the village, Wraith, using the precious system files of the Starliner, which by law can only be seen by the first decider, views the appearance of these eggs as an omen of mistfall, a strange periodic change to the planet during which the natural balance of society is threatened. In the Outlaws' grave, Edric makes a plea to Force to allow him to join the Outlaws, but none of the members are convinced of his intentions or loyalty and come up with means of him proving himself. Soon mistfall begins, and the colonists move into their starliner to protect themselves, apparently in a well-prepared manner. Edric chooses to the moment of confusion to try and steal some river fruit to prove himself to his brother. Brave gives chase to his young protege, but falls in the river, only to be dragged beneath the waves by a strange force. His last words are aimed at the chief scientist of the colony. Quote, tell Dexter we've come full circle, end quote. Edric muses on this as he heads into the forest in panic, finding his way into the TARDIS. The Doctor and Romana take him in and tend to his leg wound, which recovers remarkably quickly. The Doctor and Romana conclude that the reason the scanner is working is done to the negative coordinates, something which their space doesn't have, meaning that they are no longer in their space. The Doctor heads off to investigate the marshes that Edric mentioned in his delirium, where Eldric attracts Varsh and the other outlaws to the direction of the TARDIS. The two other deciders, Gareth and Nefret, have meanwhile ordered the Starliner doors closed as per procedure, knowing that both Drake and Kiara, an outlaw and a daughter of a prominent citizen called Logan, have not entered the ship safely. Despite his worries, Logan soon accepts a position as a third decider when it is determined that Drake has died. It is well the doors have been closed. As the swamp, the Doctor and K9 are still examining the mist, when humanoid aggressive Marsmen begin to appear from underwater, looking threatening. End of part 1. Part 2. The Marsmen continue to rise from the water as the Doctor observes. In the Outlaws' cave, Edric is telling the others about the TARDIS and Vars. Now convinced of the danger of Mistfall, decides to relocate there and take control, against Edric's wishes. The Doctor and K9 move out of sight as the Marsmen move away, and the Doctor has K9 follow them while he returns to the TARDIS. While Romana works, the Outlaws, followed by Edric, arrive at the TARDIS and declare their intention to seize it. On the Starliner, Nefret and Gareth summon Logan and offer him the position of third decider, which he accepts. K9 continues to follow the Marshman until they cross a small riverbed he is unable to cross. Romana is still at the mercy of the Outlaws before Edric intervenes and Romana regains control. Suddenly, the TARDIS rocks violently, as if it were being carried. The Doctor returns to where the TARDIS was to find it gone, without trace. He proceeds further down to hill and stumbles across the Starliner in the distance. He heads over to it, while the Marsmen beat on the walls of the Starliner to gain entry, but the first some primitive creatures are not admitted. The Doctor gains entry to the Starliner using his sonic screwdriver, followed by a young and inquisitive Marsh child. Nefret addresses the colony of the Starliner as a Doctor and the Marsh child roam free. The starter stops rocking, but Romana can't establish what's outside as the scanner still shows pictures of Gallifrey. One looks out of the doors to find the TARDIS in the Outdoors cave, surrounded by Marsmen. The Marsh child, lost and afraid, roams through the Starliner, stumbling across some of the citizens. Doctor tries to reach out to the Marsh child, but a citizen knocks him unconscious and captures the Marsh child. Both are taken and brought before the deciders. Gareth orders the Marsh child taken to Dexter for examination. In the Outdoors cave, the Marsmen beat on the TARDIS, trying to gain entry. Romana decides to venture outside. K9 comes to rescue her and the others from the Marsmen, but he has his head knocked off. Romana and Adric deduce that the Marsmen are intending to use the TARDIS as a battering ram to force their way into the Starliner by throwing it down the mountain. The deciders continue to question the Doctor, who tells them about decided faith and the truth about the mists, making Logan hopeful that Kiara, his daughter, is still alive. Dexter then arrives and the Doctor goes with him to examine the Marsh child. Back in the cave, the Marsmen suddenly retreat, and when the group steps outside to investigate, Marsh spiders start emerging from the roots in the cave. Fars, Tylus, Kiara, and Edric retreats into the TARDIS. In a panic, Tylus shuts Romana out. When Edric tries to open the doors, he accidentally operates the wrong control and dematerializes the TARDIS without her. Romana is ambushed by the spiders, picking up a river foot to fight them off, but a spider bursts out of it. She is bitten by one of the marsh spiders, falls unconscious. End of part 2. Part 3. The Doctor and Dexter examine the marsh child, and the Doctor is angered to discover Dexter has been conducting more experiments on it. Logan arrives and raises a deal with the Doctor that if he helps him find his daughter, he will help locate the TARDIS. Suddenly, the TARDIS arrives. When the Outdoors emerge, Logan is reunited with his daughter, but the Doctor is unimpressed not to be reunited with Romana. Doctor pilots the TARDIS back to the cave and finds an alert for an amnesiac Romana. On the Starliner, Fars, Kiara, and Tylus are put in front of an inquiry, while Dexter convinces the deciders to allow him to experiment on the Marsh child. The Doctor scoops up the remains of a Marsh spider and K9, and then returns to the Starliner with Edric and an unconscious Romana in tow. By the time the Doctor is back in the Starliner, however, Dexter has tried to examine the brain of the Marsh child, provoking it to attack. Dexter is killed, and then the Marsh child, in a state of panic, is electrocuted when it sees an image of the Doctor on a video screen in the lab and punches through it to try to reach him. And so the Doctor sends Edric back to the TARDIS and is so incensed that he turns on the Deciders and denounces their society, revealing secret ship controls that show the Starliner has been ready to pilot from Azarius for centuries, but for some reason the farce of constant repair has been continued. The problem, it seems, is that though the Deciders understand the technical construction of the ship, no one knows how to pilot it. Fars, Kiara, and Tylus are put to work doing maintenance on the Starliner systems. The Doctor persuades the Deciders to give him equipment to examine the cells of the Marsh spider. Marsh child and Dexter and also deduces that they are from identical DNA sources. Edric arrives and informs the Doctor that Romana has vanished. Then they go back to the TARDIS, they find her room ransacked, and go in search of her. At the lower section of the Starliner, Romana, now completely under the influence of the Mars spider's venom, releases the emergency exits and allows the Marsmen to invade the Starliner. End of part 3. Part 4. The last part. The Marsmen storm the Starliner in droves, and Romana opens another exit, allowing more and more of them in. While Vars, Kayara, and Tylos are working on the ship, they encounter the invading Marsmen, but Vars distracts them with the contents of his bag and they flee. But Tylos is killed trying to help someone escape. Vars and Kayara meet up with the Doctor and Edric, and the Doctor hustles them into the science unit. The colonists retreat before the creatures, many of whom are more inquisitive than dangerous, but energy reigns. And so the Doctor returns to the TARDIS, but is cornered by Romana and the Marsmen. In the science unit, Vars grows impatient and Edric swaps a microscope's functioning image translator with a broken one. The Doctor tries to break Romana's conditioning to no avail, but manages to keep subliminally chained to the TARDIS. In the main book room, the Deciders come up with a plan when the Marsmen begin to invade and the inhabitants evacuate. Nefert is mortally wounded while fleeing, along with many others. In the science unit, the Doctor barricades the door and uses the microscope, which Edward returns the image translator for, to examine Dexter's DNA samples. He and the Outlaws concoct a serum which should break Gormana's influence when the Marsmen attack the door and begin breaking in. Logan orders the citizens to seal the emergency exits, and then he and Gareth plead with Nefret for guidance, for which he has none other than to ask the Doctor's help in piloting the Starliner. His last admission is that the colonists cannot return to Terradon because they've never been there. Gareth and Logan go and search for the Doctor. The Marsmen invade the science unit, but the Doctor manages to keep them at bay using oxygen canisters as the oxygen contained is too high concentration for them to adapt quickly enough. Possessed Romana enters the unit and attacks the Doctor before Edric knocks her unconscious with the oxygen in the canister. Deciders discover the Outliers forcing the Marsmen out. The Doctor uses the protein serum to cure Romana. Dr. Romana determined from research that the ship has been maintained for 40,000 generations by a species that has three aspects: spiders, Marsmen, and the current humanoids. The Marsmen continue to attack, and Edric's cylinder runs out of oxygen. Vars remains to fend them off, but as he's escaping, he's pulled through the closing door and killed, despite Edric's attempts to save him. The Doctor has Logan flood the Starliner with oxygen to force the Marsmen's retreat, while Edric and Kiara mourn Vars. The Starliner is filled with concentrated oxygen, and the Marsmen leave through the imaginary exits. The Doctor explains to Gareth and Logan that the present-day Alzarians are actually a subspecies of the Marsmen, who wiped out the Starliner's original Terodian crew, and then gradually evolved into human form to take their place. They are all from the same DNA and thus have come, quote, full circle, end quote. This is the real secret of the system files. As the Doctor and the Deciders head to the TARDIS, Edric runs inside and puts the functioning image translator on the console for the Doctor to find. The Doctor shows the Deciders how to operate the ship's flight so they can manage on their own before returning to the TARDIS. In the control room, the Doctor finds an image translator left by Edric, which he uses to ensure where they were. It emerges that they have journeyed to this pocket universe through a rare space-time phenomenon known as charged vacuum embodiment. They then watch the Starliner take off and leave Alzarius. Both the Doctor and Romana forlornly concede they until they find another CVE to escape through. They're trapped in e-space. End of the story. Full circle. It was a full circle. Full circle. We are now full circle. Full circle. Full circle. Time loop. So, and they'll name some cast members. Doctor Who, or fourth Doctor, is played by Tom Baker. Romana is played by Lala Ward. Edric is played by Matthew Waterhouse. Voice of K9 is voiced by John Leeson. Logan is played by George Baker. Drake is played by Leonard McGuire. Fred is played by James Bray. Garrett is played by Alan Rowe. Dexter is played by Tony Kelvin. Parch is played by Richard Willis. Tyler is played by Bernard Pudden. Kiara is played by June Page. And Umbriel is played by Andrew Forbes. Risek is played by Adrian Gibbs. And Marshman is played by Bonnie Lawrence. And Marsh Child is played by Norman Beacon. Well, still others, but these are a few names on the actors and actresses list. Sun world building in astronomical objects, 2 points. Azarius occupies the same coordinates as Gallifrey in E-space. It's good to note, good to remember. Another thing is that Terradon is a planet the Azarians believe erroneously they come from. Done some cultural references to real world. The Doctor jokes about his stardust being the Noah's Ark after the Outlaws disembark. Some world-building food that the Algerians eat a river fruit similar to Earth watermelon. It can host spider eggs. Oh, so remember that for next time you eat a melon, it can contain spider eggs. Oh, if you don't like spiders, it's a little bit discussable to eat watermelons in yeah. Okay. Individuals. As they're traveling to Gallifrey, the Doctor comments to Romana, quote, yes, well, you only came to help with the key to time, end quote. So the second thing is that Doctor says that he's looking forward to seeing Leela and Andred again, and that K9 Mark II can meet its twin. Third thing is that Edward bears a star badge for his mathematical excellence and as a member of the elite. Some world building in medicine. Anesthetic is used to sedate the Marsman known as Drake. Second thing is that Doctor uses an Azarian microscope able to see chromosomal details, such as karyotypes, to analyze the tissue of the Marshman and the spider. And the third thing is that an excess of oxygen is able to affect the Marshman. Then some world building in the spacecraft. The Starliner was originally from Terradon. Then space-time anomalies. The TARDIS enters E-space, that is exo-space-time continuum, via a charged vacuum embodiment, that is a CVE. Then species. Alzarians were divided in 3 ranks. Deciders, that is leaders in number of 3. Citizens, common people, and outlaws, rebels. Elite was a cross rank for intellectual excellence. Romana classifies this society as a type D oligarchy. Second thing is that humanoid Azarians share the same genetic pattern of the Azarian spiders and the Marsmen because they represent different evolutionary strata thanks to a rapid cellular adaptation. Then some will be in TARDIS. Adok is given a spherical homing device to let him track down the TARDIS. And the second thing is that Romana estimates that the TARDIS weighs 5 times 10 to the 6 kilos in the gravity of the planet. Last thing in world building as in technology, that is the technology of Gallifrey and Azarius Terradon is interchangeable. Doctor uses the image translator from the Starliner in the TARDIS. Okay. Some story notes. First thing is that the working title for the story was Planet That Slept. Second note is that Edric's name was suggested by script editor Christopher H. Bidmead as an anagram of the last name of eminent physicist Paul Dirac, who in 1930 was the first to predict the existence of antimatter. A third thing is that John Franklin Robbins was considered for Gareth. Fourth thing is that Bernard Padden auditioned for Edric, but lost out because of his strong northern accent. At the time, it was felt that an extraterrestrial character should not have a distinctive accent. Instead, he appeared as Tylos. Another thing is that Andrew Smith was a 17-year-old who achieved his lifelong ambition to write for the show. He submitted several further scripts to the production office, none of which were made. He eventually became a police officer. Andrew Smith visited the location shoot on the first day, but was unwell at the time and vomited on the Marshman costumes. Oh, yeah. Well, I paid it for the cleaner. Um, in Edward Smith's original outline, adventure involved the TARDIS landing on the planet Osiris, where monstrous marshmen rise from the swamps during the time of mistfall. As the Doctor and Romana explore a space freighter crash lands on Osiris, and the time travelers must help its crew repair the ship while fending off the marshmen and gigantic cave-dwelling spiders. They are aided by a young Marsh child who has been rejected by the rest of her kind due to her pacifist nature. In the end, the Marsh child sacrificed herself to keep the Doctor and Romana safe until the mists vanish and the Marsmen retreat to swamps. This was an original outline, but it was different at the end. So it was only during a research for this block that the Alzarian's ability to rapidly heal injuries was introduced. Previously, Edric's knee had been mended by a spray that Doctor provided. Another thing is that Tom Baker attempted a few ad-libs, such as making dog noises when he has K9's head in his hands. Andrew Smith was furious that Peter Grimwade had a word with Baker. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so need sometimes some things like that. Terridan was initially spelled Terridan. Other thing is that the notion of Azarian's coordinates being the negative of Gallifrey's, the Gallifreyan wilds appearing on the TARDIS scanner came from John Nathan Turner. Indeed, for a time the planet was referred to as Yearfilla. Gallifrey spelled backwards. Another thing is that to help him understand Edric, Henry Smith developed a detailed backstory which did not make it into the narrative. To explain Edric's distrust of the Deciders, Smith posited that he had discovered that his parents' seemingly accidental death aboard the Starliner had actually been contrived by Grave in order to encourage a more conservative attitude amongst the Pterodonians towards the possibility of embarkation. Another thing is that Rich Willis and June Page fell in love during production and were later married for a time. So you can see sometimes on the set of Doctor Who there can develop some romantics. Another thing is that both costume designer Amy Roberts and visual effects designer John Brace pitched ways of depicting the Marshman. Peter Grimwade opted for Roberts' approach, who was more monstrous than Smith had envisaged. Another thing is that the Dark Clear is an anagram of Richard. Andrew Smith named him after his friend Richard Walter, the editor of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, fanzine TARDIS. Another thing is that John Nathan Turner picked Peter Grimwade to direct, having worked with him on all creatures, great and small. Also, a famous thing. And last story note is that Matthew Waterhouse struggled with the portrayal of Edric, since he felt it was not entirely consistent with the way the character had previously been presented in State of Decay, which was filmed first, actually. So that's the case. Some the blocks are not always in the order of broadcasting. Production can be earlier. Yeah. So State of Decay was filmed first before this was this story full cycle was filmed. So, and last but not least, 5 points of continuity because I repeat it again and again in line of the Livestream. The Doctor Who universe of Wooniverse. Um, to some extent, the stories episodes are related to each other, are linked to each other, are referenced to each other, are for influence to each other. And every time I rewatch a story episode, I discover new things, and there are other things that yeah, you can see some continuity in interpretation, of course. 5 points. So the Doctor is looking forward to reuniting with Leela K9 Mark One and Andred on Gallifrey. There's a relation with the TV story The Invasion of Time. Another thing is that Romana is summoned to Gallifrey because she was supposed to help the Doctor only with the quest for the key to time. There's a whole season, Key to Time. Um, so starting with the Rebels operation. The third thing is that the Doctor states that, quote, you can't fight Time Lords, Romana, end quote, lamenting that he had once tried and failed. There's a reference to TV story The War Games with the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton. It's the last story with on screen, the last story in the Doctor Who's second Doctor era. And as with the companions, yeah, James McCrimmon, Jamie, and Zoe Harriet. A third thing is that the third Doctor previously encountered Primords, creatures that shared the Marshman's trait of being temporarily weakened by gas sprayed from a canister. However, unlike the other Marsmen who were weakened by oxygen gas, the Primords were weakened by carbon dioxide released from fire extinguishers. Extinguishers. So that's in the story, TV story Inferno, the parallel universe. And last thing that the documentaries having dropped off their quote Earth trend when they picked up on Tigella. There's a reference to TV story Meklos. Yes. And that's, my friends and companions, is all I have to say about this story. Full circle. We are now full circle. Now, some commercial and then on the roof floor. So, sci-fi and fantasy fans and all sort of fans, by the way, meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport. And most of the time, we spoke about Doctor Who. It has a special place on this channel. Random, because we discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random, because we'll podcast on non-text time actually many different times. You need to subscribe to the channel to know what time the podcast is. Random also, because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on join me in live stream or panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube and we'll look what is possible. There's also the possibility to invite me for your channel for a live stream or panel. Feel free to invite me. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who. And then you find me very quick on Discord because I bump the server regularly. So, cheers and mate, and had lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. For now, have a nice day and enjoy the week. I'll see you. I'm looking forward to meet you. See ya. Bye bye.